call the meeting to order. And the roll call would be, we have Francis, Elizabeth, Dominic, and Mark, all in attendance. And the first order of business would be the approval of the minutes. Everybody have a chance to review the minutes?
Yes, I did.
Okay.
They looked fine to me.
They look fine to me as well. I can make a motion, can I, Mark?
Yeah,
I'd like to make a motion to approve the minutes.
And I'd be happy to second that motion.
Right, thank you. Any discussion? Any concerns? No? Okay, they're so moved. Here we go. And we're off to the races.
Can we just say it's unanimous? We have to do a vote for my notes.
Yes.
I think we could say it's unanimous.
Thank you.
Citizens petitions and comments? Any?
Not I.
Okay. Mark, any town council referrals?
not at this time.
Okay. Correspondence and communication, are there any?
I don't have any correspondence, but I do have a couple of things to let the commission know about. The first is the Club 55 Academic Achievement Awards, which Mark referenced in his monthly report. They were awarded on Monday. We had 5 awards available. We had 8 applicants. 2 of the applicants were adults returning to higher education, both of whom got the grants. They were just excellent applications. And then the other 3 are high school graduates, and they got the remaining grants. And those letters went out on Wednesday to the applicants. That was the first. Yeah, so it was a total of $3,000
Wow.
that the club awarded. And then the second thing is, I don't know if you're aware of the Yellow Dot program. It was very active in Groton some years ago and got dropped for a variety of reasons. Anyway, it is being resurrected, and it's going to start this Saturday at the outdoor market and classic car show. And Heather McClellan and Kathy Williams are heading that up with the support of the Stonington Oddfellows Lodge. So it's a safety program aimed at people 55 and older. So you put a yellow dot in the back windshield, and there's a portfolio they keep in their glove box. So first responders will be able to get to the information immediately. And we consulted with a group of seniors a couple of months ago on some enhancements, and we're looking forward to the launch on Saturday.
Any questions?
So the yellow dot program is basically like a safety thing. So the yellow dot in the back windshield indicates that there's someone 55 plus and that they have important medical information in their glove box.
Exactly. And the other thing that's in there, Fran, is if that individual has someone at home who's dependent on them for care, or children who need to be picked up, grandchildren who need to be picked up at school, or there's a pet in the home. So that in addition to dealing with the problem the individual has, we'll also be able to look at the larger environment and make sure everyone's safe.
That's nice.
That's a great idea.
It sure is.
Yeah. We're looking forward to getting it launched.
Any other petitions or comments? Communications? None? Okay. Mark, why don't you start with the director reports?
Okay. So in addition to what was distributed as part of the packet, Dom had asked for updates on a couple of things. So one was staffing. When we just started talking about that a little bit. On Tuesday, our new financial assistant started, and today she was over at HR going through orientation. She'll be back in the office tomorrow. The first 2 days she spent watching video, well, combination of watching videos and meeting with various staff from the finance department. And she a couple of times got really excited about the software that we're using. She's like, "Oh, I wish I had this where I was working before." I'm like, "Okay." So,
That's good.
yeah. And then when she found out that there is a scanner right on her desk, she goes, "That's for me to use?" She goes, "Where I worked before, I had to share a scanner with other people." And so anyway, she seems to be working out very well and is quite knowledgeable. Ben and I today had 1 second interview for a program supervisor. And we'll be making a decision or making an offer very shortly, hopefully tomorrow. And that is to replace Ben's position since he moved up.
Oh, good.
Yeah. Applications for the window to submit an application for a community outreach coordinator, that's replacing Jessica, closed, I think, last week. We had 24 applicants. HR and myself have reviewed those, and we feel there's like 9 or 10 that we'd like to bring in for interviews. And those interviews are tentatively scheduled for June 21st. And the office assistant position, we posted that for a week and had 70 applicants.
Oh,
And
good.
yeah. Now, that sounds like a lot, but when you start looking through and you look at who's applying, there's about 9 or 10 that we're going to bring in. The others were just,
Right.
it just, their skills and our needs didn't really line up that well. So, I feel like we're starting to see the light at the end of the tunnel.
Good.
All of this takes time, so I don't expect that we'll be fully staffed until probably late July, I'm guessing. And Dom had also asked about an update on ARPA projects. And we finally got all the approvals for the lights at Pequannock Plains Park. And I have a meeting scheduled with the supplier of the lights tomorrow to discuss placing an order and getting that process moving forward. I think I've mentioned this before. Public Works has committed to installing the lights this fall, which is great. The bids, the time to submit bids for the street tree inventory closed last week. And I think we have 6 or 7 bids that I have to look through. And we'll be moving forward with selecting a consultant to begin that work sometime this summer. I think I mentioned this at the last meeting. The Barry Dunn, who is the consultants working on the Recreation Master Plan, they are coming September 28th, which I think is a Wednesday.
September, Mark, or June?
I'm sorry, June 28th.
Oh,
They're coming
okay.
June 28th, thank you. They're coming June 28th to do a public presentation of their findings to date and to collect some feedback from the public. And they're going to take that information and prepare their first draft of recommendations. Pickleball, we have been getting quotes from the light manufacturer because we're looking to put lights on the court, the new pickleball court, and also putting lights on the existing hockey rink. Right now, the plan is to kind of put the two together.
Oh, sweet.
Yes, yeah. So we got an estimate, and I actually just reached out to the manufacturer today. He had said, once you know exactly what your budget is and what you're going to be able to afford, let me know and I'll come back. They'll come back and give us a more detailed estimate. But
Oh, okay.
right now, everything is looking like we're going to be able to do all the things that we had talked about, which is exciting.
Is that right? Wow.
Yeah,
Wow,
yeah.
that's really good news.
Yeah, it is. Yeah. And so just to update everybody, we're looking at putting in 6 pickleball courts adjacent to the existing hockey rink.
Near
And they would be, what's that?
Near Thrive?
Yes,
hockey rink?
yeah, yes, yeah. And they would be dedicated pickleball courts.
Mhm.
So that have fixed nets, there'll be fencing all the way around it, and it would also be lit.
And I thought that figure you gave from Hindi, I
Yes.
thought that was really pretty good. You know, I
Yes.
really did. I
Yeah.
hope you felt the same way about that.
I did, yeah, and I
Yeah.
actually I did reach out to them this afternoon to see if they would also provide an additional quote.
I
to do
appreciate
the-
that, Mark, just to see, you know.
Sure, yeah. I think it's going to be tough to beat what Public Works has, what they've bid, but it's worth looking. And he got back to me and said that he'd have that ready for me in a couple of days.
Is that good?
Yep, yep.
Good. Wow.
And yeah, so the hockey rink, we are looking to replace the existing hockey rink. We have one quote right now, and we're waiting on 2 others to replace the existing rink with that's a wood structure, and we've had it for over 20 years, and it was actually donated from Conn College. So I'm not even sure how old that rink is, but we're continually making repairs. The wood deteriorates, and we've bid for a structure that has aluminum, is built of aluminum. So it's much more rigid. And we got a quote today from Hinding to make repairs to the cracks and reseal everything. And that came in at a good price and is going to allow us to complete both projects, which is exciting. And Sutton Park, the architect is still working on different conceptual plans that include both the skate park, playground, putting in a new bathroom, and also putting in the multi-use path that's going to connect from Route 1 and go all the way out to Midway Oval. That's probably still a few weeks away. They're going to work on a couple of different conceptual plans, and then there'll be an opportunity for the public to provide feedback on which plan they like. Once we have that, then they'll put together the final details, the final plans, and we'll go through the permitting process and then go out to bid. I would not expect this work to begin probably until next spring. That's my guess. It may be late this fall, but I'm not really sure. So that's kind of an update on all of the different projects that are going on. And that is outside of kind of the day-to-day things. We're getting ready for the 4th of July parade in a couple of weeks, and concerts start in 2 weeks, and summer camp starts in a couple of weeks. And it's a really busy time around Spicer House.
Okay. I had a question, Mark, about
Yes.
the layout of the pickleball courts and the renovated hockey rink. Where does the walking track fit in that was going to go from Thrive around the library and back?
Yeah, that will still exist. I think we're only going to have to make a small modification to it. It may have to go a little bit, well, I don't think it's going to sweep around the hockey rink as close to the hockey rink as we originally planned. I think it's gonna go out a little bit further, get out past the pickleball courts, and then make the sweep over towards the
soccer field.
backside of the soccer field. Yes, yeah. So I think we're gonna be able to fit everything in.
Okay, I was just trying to,
Yeah,
because I know that that one has been long awaited, so,
yes, yeah.
Yeah, yeah.
And the courts are going to be side by each. Yeah, that's a little Canadian there. They're gonna be
I've heard it.
side by, yeah, kind of in one long row running parallel to the hockey rink.
Oh, I
The
see.
court- The courts would be north and south themselves,
Okay.
correct?
As opposed to the,
Yes,
Yeah.
yes, north and south, yes,
Yeah,
that's
yeah.
correct. Yeah,
Okay.
yep.
and the other question I had was about the field that was at the community center that was worked on last fall that we're not
Yes.
going to use. It did not look healthy to me. Is that just my ignorance?
No, we actually either late last week or early this week overseeded it again.
Mhm.
So there's more seed in the ground, and after probably 2.5 to 3 weeks, I think you'll see a resurgence of grass, and there is irrigation, so the seed is getting plenty of water.
Mhm.
And germination should take place in a couple of weeks. And I think they even, put down starter fertilizer also on it to
Mhm.
give it a
Encourage.
boost.
Yeah.
Yes, to give it a boost. Yes.
Okay,
Yeah.
great. Thank you.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. So that's the director's report, and I guess we can move on to the golf course
All right.
unless there's any other questions. No. Okay.
Not
So
for me.
the capital improvement project at the golf course continues.
Mhm.
I think Eric said they've done 13 bunkers.
Wow.
And yeah, and they're working on tees, a couple of tees right now. And we had a golf advisory board meeting Monday night, and everybody is really excited about the changes that have taken place, not only the season pass holders, but they're, people that are coming off the road are just really excited about all the different changes that are underway right now. We had hoped to continue or start the work at the conclusion of the project they're on now, the work that was scheduled for FYE 2024, but we're getting too close to the summer season and not having reliable irrigation where they're going to do some of the work. They've decided to postpone that work either until fall or to earlier next spring when conditions are better to make those renovations.
I liked your before and after picture in your report. What a
Yeah,
contrast.
it's a big difference. Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, big
Beautiful.
difference. Yeah. We did just purchase a bottle filling water cooler to go into the clubhouse to replace the cooler that's there now.
Oh, in
that
between
will-
the
Yes.
pro shop.
Yes, yep. So golfers will be able to fill up their
that's
whatever
nice.
whatever they have, and hopefully purchase less plastic bottles and be reusing whatever containers they have. And we have also, there's a request for proposals to replace the fence that goes underneath or in the tunnel, I guess, if you want to, because we had originally bid that project and the project along Plant Street as kind of one project, and the bids came in higher than what we had budgeted. So we split it out, knowing that we would have enough money to replace the fence in the tunnel. So I'm not sure when the closing date for that is, but so that part of the fence project will be moving forward.
Mark, I noticed that over, I don't know if it has anything to do with the golf or restaurant, but there's some type of paving or construction near that driveway going into the Part 4. Does that have anything to do with the rec program or?
No, I think there's been work going on in the basement of the restaurant.
Okay,
So what they discovered was there was asbestos around the pipes underneath the restaurant, and that asbestos over the years has flaked, gotten into the soil. So before they could start doing renovations on the bathroom in Part 4, they had to clean up the asbestos
Oh, boy.
situation. Yeah, so they've been they put a hole in the wall to get down to the basement, and I think earlier this week they've been removing the asbestos, the soil, and they were getting ready to pour a concrete floor in that section of the basement. And once
Okay, I
that's
think I
complete-
saw them doing that today.
Oh, okay.
With concrete going in. Okay, I was
Yes,
wondering
yes.
what it's about.
Yeah,
Thank you.
so now that that's complete, or as soon as that's complete, they'll be able to go out to bid for the renovations to the bathroom. And I think that work is scheduled for sometime this fall, because you don't want to disrupt right during their peak season. So
No, boy, and they're
wait.
busy.
Yeah. I mean, if you see the monthly report, you know, 3 years ago was our best year. 2 years was better than the year before, and this year is better
Right.
than last year.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Great.
So play continues to be really, really strong.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
Trails, anything else about, anybody have any questions or issues or anything about that? Okay, Trails, Task Force, Mark, anything?
No, that they meet quarterly. And
Okay.
so we actually have a meeting coming up, I think next Thursday. So there's not
Okay.
really anything to report.
Okay, athletic fields, I think you really kind of spoke to the athletic field at the GCC.
Right. Yeah.
I don't know
So
if
the
there's
other
any-
part of that project is we are, we've been going through the Athletic Fields Task Force has been meeting. Kent and Frost came up with conceptual plans for fields at Gloucester, and that was all based on data that was collected from various user groups, youth sports, adult sports, to identify the fields that we need. When the Athletic Field Task Force met last month, the decision was made we thought it was important that we update that information before we put out a request for proposal. So that information is being updated so that we can provide whatever consultant is brought on with the most recent information for field needs. And so that project, they'll be looking at how Gloucester property can address the field needs, changes to the 2 fields at Sutton Park, and then also changes to the fields up at the high school. So there'll be kind of three different areas that consultant will be looking at to determine what will best address the field needs of the community, including high school sports and youth sports and adult sports.
Nice.
If they're looking at Gloucester, is the assumption that the aquatic center is a dead issue?
I wouldn't say dead. I'd say it's on hold. You know, as we went through the budget process, there was no initiative to spend money on a feasibility study to figure out exactly, you know, the community has said, we want an aquatics facility. And I think I've said this before, you know, my idea of an aquatics facility and Elizabeth, your idea of an aquatics facility could be miles apart.
Oh,
And so,
sure.
and so the idea of the feasibility study is like, okay, let's collect all this information and figure out the commonality between what everybody wants. And then we can say, okay, now that we know we're not going to have a lazy river and we're not going to have this giant water slide, you know, we're going to have something in between, figure out what it's going to cost to build, what kind of revenue it would generate, and what the annual operating costs would be. That was the proposal that I had put forth in the budget. Again, there was no initiative to move that forward. So that space that Kent and Frost had kind of set aside for an aquatics facility, I think that's still going to be a set aside.
I see.
And yeah, so I wouldn't say it's
And that
dead.
would be at Claude.
Yes,
On the
that's
Claude property.
yes. Yeah,
Okay.
that was the proposal that Kent and Frost put forward, and you know, the council kind of endorsed that concept. But there was no money to kind of put to do the feasibility study. My plan is I'll go back to the council. I will include it in next year's budget as a proposal, and we'll see what happens.
Well, it'll be interesting to see what Barry Dunn comes up with too.
Yeah, I think that will. I think the results from the Barry Dunn study and the new recreation master plan, I think that will support the community's interest in having an aquatics facility, and will hopefully move the needle so that we can do the feasibility study, so we can finally figure out what it is we're all talking about, and you know, what it will or won't cost us.
Yeah. Good.
Agency accreditation.
We are plugging along. Elizabeth has taken a higher calling, one that's much more important than agency accreditation.
Pleased to me.
Well, no, and we hope to see her back soon.
Yes, you will.
I am going to throw a little. I'm going to throw a line out there and let her know that we did get her the 24-inch screen.
Wow.
See,
Oh, baby.
That's all I needed.
yeah. So hopefully that, you know, I can kind of reel her in with that.
Yeah, I do expect to be back before the end of the month, for sure.
Oh, terrific. Great. Okay, excellent. I won't tell her where we moved her though.
Uh-oh.
Yeah, we're doing some reorganization in the office with all the changes that are taking place with staff.
Sure.
We kind of looked at it and you know, we're putting offices in spaces that I think make sense and will benefit everybody once we get fully staffed. And then just as a reminder, we were fortunate enough to have approved funding for an additional program supervisor. So starting July 1, we'll be advertising for an additional program supervisor. So
Good.
yeah, so there's lots happening at Spicer House.
Yeah.
A lot of moving parts.
Well, it's a good time to do it when it's just you and Ben.
Yeah.
No,
Yeah.
I mean,
argue
about
with.
the office. About the
No,
office.
you're right. Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's less disruption
Yeah.
because there's lots of empty desks and
Right, exactly.
yeah. Yeah.
All right.
Whoops.
Any unfinished business?
I don't have any.
Nor do I.
Okay.
Well, the only thing I had was I was looking at the information you sent on the bicycle path.
Yes.
And you had said, let's see if I can find my notes again, that it looked like the recommendation was to have marked, let me find my notes. Marked shared lane bikeway. So that's, let's see, recommendation.
That
Striping
is, yes, that is, the shared lane bikeway is what the engineering firm that developed the conceptual plans has recommended for most of the sections along this proposed bikeway. Now, we're going to be going through the process of hiring a consulting firm to kind of finalize those plans, and there'll be a public engagement process. So we'll be able to collect more feedback from the community, but that is given the parameters that we're working within, that's the best. They believe that's the best option, because we don't have space to do, a separate bikeway, kind of like what you see on Route 1. You've got the road, you've got some green space, and then you have the multi-use path. There is not, due to the constrictions, there's just not that room on South Road to do those kinds of things. So the best, at this point, they believe the best alternative is kind of a shared lane bikeway along the road.
So there's not really a delineated space for the bike because it's a shared lane, but the biking symbol is like a reminder to the motor vehicle driver.
Yes, I think most of the road is probably going to look like Thomas Road. So
Okay.
if you're driving out towards the golf course from the airport,
Mhm.
there's white lanes on both sides on the edges of the road, and there's 3 or 4 feet of pavement that has those bike markings on. So that designates that that's where
The bike
that
should be.
space is for bikes. Yes.
Okay.
So that is a shared, what you have on Thomas Road, that's a
Yes.
shared space.
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah. Yeah.
So you still have a delineated place for bikes on both sides of each way.
Yes, that will be the plan. Yes.
Oh, nice.
At
Okay.
this time. Yes. Yeah.
Yep.
And I mean, is it ideal? No, but it's the best alternative to what exists now, which is there's no markings at all.
Mhm. Mhm. Okay, I just needed to understand that a little bit better.
Sure.
So that did
Yeah.
it. Thank you.
Any other unfinished business? Then we move to new business. Is there any new business? I guess not. Is there any motions for adjournment?
I do have one question because the next item is the next meeting date. Are we
Okay.
taking August off?
Yes.
Okay, thank you.
We are. I expect you to be at work.
I understand.
Volunteering.
I have to earn the right to that 24-inch monitor, you see.
That's right. Once you get in, I'm chaining you to the desk.
I can't wait. Especially since I don't know where that's going to be.
So the next meeting is July 13th.
Yes.
Now, do we have any other issues or concerns? If not, do we have any Do we have any motions for an adjournment?
I move that we adjourn this meeting.
And I'll second that emotion. Great meeting, guys. We
We're
even
all
beat
in
our.
favor, I assume.
It's unanimous.
Unanimous, just put unanimous. And we beat our last month's time, I'll tell you that.
Wow, this
Yeah.
was quick.
We're rolling. We're rolling. See you next month,
Thank you,
everyone.
everybody.
All right.
Thank
Oh,
you,
hopefully
Fran.
we'll see you on the 28th,
That's right.
right?
Oh, okay, yeah.
Yes, at the annex. Yes, 6 or 6:30.
I'll double check it. Yeah.
Okay. All right.
Thank you.
Bye-bye.
Yeah. Good night.
Good night.